Hi, you guys, and welcome to week 2 of Balancing the Energies, both masculine and feminine. So, for those of you that have been in my last 2 programs, you know that I really like to start each one of these sessions by just coming into our bodies and taking inventory and finding out right where we reside in the moment. And for me, it is in somewhat of a grounded place because I just finished a session with a client. It's in a little bit of an anxious place because I know at any moment I'm going to have my little Maisie dog try and push through the door to get in to see me, or my 4-year-old try and come in. So there's a little bit of like a fluttering belly around that. My right shoulder is a little bit sore from the way that I'm holding the phone. What about you? What is true for you? Taking 5 minutes at different intervals during the day to do this would really support you in knowing how you're feeling in your body and being able to make decisions from that place as opposed to from up here. So that was our 2-minute stop in the body. And I'm excited about this week. I have 2 topics I am really interested in unwrapping and handing to you. Those topics are the first being that we are all going to be investigators this week, and we're all going to give ourselves an understanding of why it is that we're lopsided in one energy or another. Why is it that we show up very top-heavy in the masculine, but yet really light in the feminine? Maybe it's because we had a single mother growing up, or maybe we were bullied on the playground. So really coming to understand why we show up in this way, and is it a story that still serves us? Are we not living our life to our fullest expression because we are showing up with a story that is, 20 years old or 10 years old or 40 years old? So we're going to start with an investigation around that. The second piece of it is, what is our definition of the masculine and the feminine? The one specific to us, and is it valid any longer, or is it based on that old story? Perhaps we'd be more willing to integrate the less utilized energy if we had more respect for it. And so can we drop our old feelings around it and dedicate a new meaning to it that is more aligned with your life today? So those are our 2 topics. I'm going to try my best to stay on task and on target in speaking about those concisely. So I learn best by experience, and so I want to share with you why I come to this program really unevenly balanced around the energy and more so in the masculine. When I was about 19 or 20 years old, my father's business collapsed. He had an employee that worked for him for many, many years, and he groomed him to take over his business, and they were like family. And this gentleman stole over $1 million of my father's product and sold it on the black market. So in a span of about a year's time, my father lost his business and my family lost their home. In the process, a great deal of dignity was lost at the same time, which I think was actually more debilitating than either of the other 2 things I mentioned before. My brother recounts a time in his life that was the most poignant and upsetting in taking my father to the unemployment line, where they stood in line together and cried. And so this was such a difficult time for my family, and what I took away from that experience was that you show up every day tenacious and aggressive, and you get shit done. And my jobs reflected that, and my partnerships or lack of partnerships reflected that, and my home and my bank account. They all reflected that I was a person that didn't stop. At no expense did I stop. So, it's an interesting place to be because there is very much a wisdom quality to that, and there is very much a neurotic quality to that. The wisdom quality was that actually got me up off my feet, and it got me moving, and it got me to realize that there was a woman in there who was quite capable, and this type of thing wasn't going to happen to me. I was going to be sure of that. Now, the neurotic quality to that was that I became really ill in the process. I had a really messed up digestive tract. I had hair that was falling out. I had relationships that I couldn't maintain, and insomnia. And that should have been the telltale sign where I said enough is enough, but it wasn't. It wasn't really until a couple of years ago when I came to do what I'm doing now that reality set in, that it didn't have to be this way. And if I'm really honest with myself, it may have really only been in the last handful of months that I truly got that I didn't need to show up in this way anymore. And so this takes me to the other topic, and that is our definition of the masculine and the feminine. So when I feel into the feminine, my experience is remembering that my mother stayed in bed, and she got out of bed to kind of prop my dad back up. And so I saw that as a weakness. I really did. It was like, that feminine, that soft side of her couldn't get out of bed, and that was my understanding of the feminine. The masculine was that, if you didn't pull in that aggressive, tenacious, strong, get her done attitude, then you ended up like my father. And so I would like to shift the definition of both of these energies, because I have different tools than I had back then. Not to mention, I am no longer in a state of fight or flight. Even if I am, there is now a faith within me that I can show up differently with my own definition of these words. And not have to use a sledgehammer, but more have faith and I don't know what else to say here. I'm going to put you on pause for a minute just to collect my thoughts. So I think for me, what I have really learned is that in redefining these words, I can show up in a more balanced fashion. So tenacity and even aggression at times, or pragmaticism, you know what I'm trying to say, being pragmatic, all of that is so wise. But can we cradle that in the feminine, right? I don't have to show up with a sledgehammer with that. I can actually just show up with my ability to get it done, but lean into the strong feminine qualities of the intuition, the body, the love of myself and others, and acceptance, and most importantly, with the understanding that there is such an intelligence to this universe that we live in, that if I can take a step back, breathe, and recognize that I don't have to push so hard against what is. Just show up with gentleness and wisdom. That is all I need. And the telltale sign that you're doing it right, shouldn't say right, but the telltale sign is go into your body. You know when you're trying to use a sledgehammer to, to push through something that doesn't need a sledgehammer. Sorry, I couldn't get more creative there. You can feel it in your body. So that's why the meditation piece is so important. And that's why I stop in the beginning of these sessions to get a sense of where we are in our bodies. Because our body knows what we need to come in with and how to balance those two energies. So your assignment is going to be, 1, I want you to write down where it is that you believe you're indoctrinating one energy over the other came from. Get really clear on that. Write it down. The second piece is I want you to define the feminine and the masculine, both your old belief system around it, which may shift today. It might be here up until this moment when you watch this video. So define your belief system around the masculine and the feminine. And then maybe if you don't have a new understanding of it yet, maybe try and create one in your mind. How would you like the feminine to show up? How would you like to show up in the masculine? And see if that is a place where you can start today. I typically wouldn't give you partner work 2 weeks in a row, but I want you to talk about this with a partner. I think it's really important to process with somebody else and be heard by the other person. So I will put this in a worksheet for you to have, or in an email for you to have, and I will also set you up with a partner. So thank you, and I hope this content is inspiring you in some way to make some shifts. And I am here to support you, and as I'm already seeing in the Facebook group, you are in good company and being cradled in a lot of love and support. So thank you, and have a wonderful day.